Good evening. Shall we start?
Yes, sir. You can start.
We start now. Yes, thank you. I am Wimalasena Gamage, former Director of Irrigation, now retired, and I was the past president during the session 2016 to 2017. So last few years, I was entrusted to deliver the lecture on environment management. So today we are starting that. So I think when we call the environment management, I think most of the engineers are very familiar with the terms environment. So we are in the view of go to the B paper. So this lecture is mainly focused to B paper. So I think it is not a difficult question paper. Everybody can get the maximum marks out of 25. Only you have to follow this material, and it is better to read the previous year's past papers, and then regarding the environment management, I think question number 11, then you will be familiarized what you have to write. So it is better to write one or two answers at home, and then you will realize how you're going to present this thing, your answer. In the meantime, I think you must make attention to write very clearly. Your what to call handwriting is most important. Otherwise, it is very extremely difficult to read it. In the meantime, you arrange your facts and contents according to the question. So actually, most of the engineers, they are very well. They are got the full marks. In the meantime, some candidates are there. It is extremely difficult to read their handwriting. So then they will lose the marks. So therefore, be careful. So so now we will first consider what is the environment. Environment. It consists of all of the external non-living abiotic and living biotic factors, conditions, and influence that affect the life, development, and survival of an organism of a community. So that is basis. The National Environment Act, section number 3 in Sri Lanka, define the environment as the physical factors of the surrounding of human being, including the land, soil, water, atmosphere, climate, odors, taste, and biological factors of animals and plants of every description. So you can keep in your mind basically the environment physical factors are soil, water, atmosphere, climatic, odors, taste, and biological factors. So as engineers, we are always very familiar with the land, soil, and water, and atmosphere, and climate, everything. So I think not necessarily elaborate further. The environment is complex system of living and non-living components which interact with each other and respond to climate change in order to survive. Environment is dynamic and constantly changing. Change occurs as a result of the natural process as well as through the human intervention and action. So very important. So sometimes this environment is dynamic and constantly changing. It is you are in the day-to-day life work we are feeling that change occurs as a result of the natural process, such as well as through the human intervention on an action. So natural processes are quite different from the human intervention. The human interventions are mainly actions are mainly deforestation and pollution and etc. The environment change as a result of the natural and human made causes can occur over a short period, vulcanized or longer period climate change. So climate change is now significantly affecting. So we also feel in the climatic changes day-to-day work. The resilience means the allow the earth to withstand change, and many cases restoration occurs naturally over a period of time. In cases where the damages is too much to the naturally restore, the environment evolves and change into different environment. Evolution has meant that different plant and animal species survive and have adapted over a period of time to live in various climatic conditions, including extreme environments such as ice and deserts. So, fortunately in Sri Lanka, we don't have such problem with ice and deserts and everything. That means, but other things are common for Sri Lanka also. The important conservation of environment, our environment is a fundamental to our survival. It provides us with various goods and services that support, provide and regulate our well-being. We rely on the environment for our lives and will continue to do so in the future. As human beings, in built up cities and towns, the interconnectivity and function of the environmental is not obvious. When humans create an artificial environment, it is felt that the rest of the environment is something that is separate from us. So, irrespective of where a person lives in forest or in city, we all have the same basic need. That means, what are the basic needs? Air, water, and food. So, therefore, environmental, whether we have, in irrespective of whether living in the forest or in city, we need the air, water, and food. So environmental basically highly connected with the air, water, and food. Then what is the environment management? So management is everywhere the management is the most important, even our day-to-day life, management financially, maybe day-to-day activities and everything. So management is a common for all our human being for the other activities. Then environment management is specific. The environment management is defined as a system that incorporate process for summarizing, monitoring, reporting, developing, and executing the environmental policies. The aim of the encouraging an environment management system is to ensure the healthy state of our planet for future generation. It also works towards preserving all forms of life. So basically environment management is a system. So as an engineer, we are always familiar with these things: summarizing, monitoring, reporting, developing, and executing the environmental policies. So environmental management mainly focus the environmental policies. So in business, environment management is defined as a corporate strategy that monitor, develop, and implement environment policies of that organization. So when you come to the organization, say business or government or anything, so defined is corporate strategy, right? That monitor, develop, and implement environmental policies of an organization. It is a systematic approach that is gaining a due prominence as the consumers are looking for products and services that are eco-friendly and eco-aware. So now regarding the environmental this thing, even the code of ethics clause number 3 also mention a sustainable development. So this is interconnected. So, company actually, uh, as we said, strategies the environment develop and implement in policies within the organization, and it is systematic approach that is gaining the prominence as a consumers are looking for product, right? So, and services that are eco-friendly and eco-aware. So, economy that is the most important. Then the even the food production, milk production, rice production, these things are uh, highly valid. The ecological balance of our planet has been disturbed through a technological revolution, heavy industrialization, growth in transportation, unplanned urbanization, and coarse exploitation of resources. Ecosystem stability is in danger as the relationship between the human being and the environment are deteriorated. The relationship can once again become harmonious if people start encouraging between human beings and environment is deteriorated as the relationship can once again become harmonious of people. If people start encouraging activities like conservation, regeneration, and protection of nature. So ecological balance is the what we are with the environment management. We are trying to balance the actually ecological balance. So that is the most important. Then in the meantime, environmental management is concerned with the marine, land and atmosphere conditions and work toward the issue like deforestation, I mentioned earlier, and global warming. It looks at the carbon footprint and tries to find ways to reduce the irreversible damage people are leaving behind. So finally, with the environment management, we are trying to develop and try to this is regarding the irreversible damages to the people because of environmental changes. So we are trying to control that. So then environment management is described as a process to minimize waste and maximize compliance. So that is ISL Code of Ethics also mentioned and in section 3, sustainable. This is minimizing the waste and maximizing the compliance. It is created to address the environment issues that have a direct and indirect impact on the globe and is affecting its adversely. It deals with its finding appropriate solution to environmental crisis and preventing ecological disasters. Environment management also investigate potential source of renewable energy so that fossil fuel does not become depleted. So now, because of the this environmental damages, so the people are trying to manage the environment in the various manner. So preventing ecological disasters and it is to find appropriate solution to an environmental crisis and preventing ecological disaster. Environmental management also investigate a potential source of renewable energy. So everywhere we are discussing about renewable energy. පුනර්ජනීය විදුලි බලය ශක්තිය. So everywhere this energy we have renewable energy is main factor so that fossil fuel now we are using does not become depleted. Now it is says that fossil fuel is depleting gradually. So therefore we are trying to keep it. It is depleting process to as our control. Then the objective of the environment management. So it is quite uh, relevant to the our management also and the company or our institution and we did with this thing, identifying the environmental issues like that, then finding solution for environmental issues, establishing limit to avoid overuse, So then even the money management, if you are overusing, you are in trouble. And help to renew the natural resources. Help to renew the natural resources. Then natural resources. So we are trying to help to renew that and minimize the use of natural resources. So natural resource utilization we are trying to control, because it is says that we have to use the whatever we own now, and balance should be keep for the future generation. As a Red India American Red Indian leader mentioned that minimize use of natural resources, developing monitoring system and research institutions. So actually, everything has to be monitored. In the meantime, we have to continue the research, how to do that. So various solutions to be found with that research. Then regeneration of degraded environment. So regeneration. So like forest is already destroyed, and deforestation. So then we are trying to improve the forest thickness like that. So renew the environment goals of an organization. When you come to the organization, you have to fix the environmental goals for your organization, and setting environmental targets to minimize the environmental impact of an organization. So that is the all the servant and staff and everybody has to get together and fix the target to minimize the environmental impact of an organization. So this I think not necessary to for the elaboration. Every organization is having the environmental management plan, basically, because of the we know that our institutions have around the institution must be clean and very nicely organized, as well as the attractive manner like that. In the meantime, the wasting material is minimized like that. So these things are, I think, day to day, these things not necessary to elaborate that. In the meantime, they control environment pollution. So that is the most important factor. Our environmental is actually damaging mainly because of the our human activities, pollution. Ensuring environmental technologies awareness program is being followed by every employee. So ensuring environmental technology awareness, right? Awareness program is being followed by every employee. So the awareness is the most important. If everybody should, we must tell them and talk with them and point out with them the give the awareness about this thing. So then regarding the irrigation sector, so we have to give the awareness to the farmers and the consumers that water supply and farmers for the irrigation scheme, water supply authorities also using the water. So then we are everybody, the water supply authority and irrigation department maybe jointly advise the farmers, the other main users, review existing and try to make them eco-friendly. Review the existing things and try to make the eco-friendly. It is not doesn't eco-friendly. That is normally as engineers you know very well the eco-friendly, what is the eco-friendly meaning, and make maximum utilization of natural resources. Make maximum utilization. Not make it avoiding maximum utilization of natural resources, assess the impact of potential activities on the environment, then encourage resources conservation program. This is not the maximum utilization, it's the minimum utilization. So encourage resources conservation programs. Develop strategies for improving the quality of life. So as for every action, we are trying to improve our quality of the life, day-to-day life. So therefore, it is important. So strategies has to develop to improve the quality of life. quality of life means pipe drawn water. Then in the meantime, pipe drawn water for each and every person, every people and household. And in the meantime, good air, all those things. Then noise and minimize noise like that. Implement ways for environmental protection. So for that, to achieve that, we have to implement the various methods for environmental protection. Then minimize the impact of natural disasters. So natural disaster we have to minimize. So natural disasters, sometimes natural disasters are mainly because of the man-made disasters. Sometimes because of deforestation there is a sudden what to call rainfalls, and then the what to call landslides and like that. Those things has to be minimized. Identify, develop, and implement policies related to sustainable development. So common word is the sustainable development. That is my sustainable development. Actually, this Astrid Indians leader mentioned that use the natural resources as you want and balance keep for the future generation. So same manner. So environment degradation and pollution. So trying to elaborate that. Environmental degradation refers to the depletion of the potentially renewable resources such as air, water, soil, forest, wildlife by using it as a faster rate than it can be naturally renewed. In the meantime, environmental destructions has serious and far-reaching consequences, and those impact on both human and the environment may not be immediately obvious. Many different forces contribute to the environment degradation. Many different forces, in addition to the man-made disaster and degradation of the environment, there are many these things. This includes direct destruction of people and business, direct destruction by people and business, while wider institutional, policy, and legal factors, such as weak enforcement of environment laws within the organization, within the town council, within the Pradesh Sabha, like that. Coupled with failure of relevant agencies to perform their duties. So some people, agencies, they are entrusted to perform the manner how they should work to protect the environment, but they are not doing that. Especially you may come across that town council sometimes, then the Pradesh Sabha, even the schools. So therefore, they are not performing duties. So that way, actually, environment is damaging. Exacerbate degradation, widespread corruption, political patronage allows encourage misuse of environmental breaking environment law. That is normally day to day when we are working, we are experiencing these things. So not necessary to further explain that those things have directly affecting change in the consumption pattern and demand, increasing market integration and globalization. So the consumption patterns and demand is a main. Actually, this almost always we are trying to meet the demand, but we have to manage that. Issuing regarding the water, issuing the adequate water, not the ample water, like that. Increasing the market integration. So even වෙළඳපොළ ඒකාබද්ධ කිරීම and then globalization. That is, we are now not living in one country, we are global country, we are thinking. Then the land pressure and population growth all have an impact on environment. So actually, the land pressure. So everybody is trying to get the lands. So then what will happen is the population growth, all this impact are in. So regarding the land pressure, regarding you see for the ensure the food security, we have actually settled the people from up country to the Mahawali areas as well as Galway, Ampara, and various colonization schemes established to actually promote the what to call this food security. So then, in the meantime, this land was actually when we are doing the what to call cultivation for that land alienation that is destroying the forest or the heavy forest. So with that actually sometimes that impact is not at that time, but now it is feeling. Then the global and national pressures often encourage development to take place that are unsuitable, sustainable, both environment and economic terms. So when we are implementing the projects, sometimes those projects are not environment friendly, and then some with economic terms. So there are certain. So I think the education in regarding the our expressway. So many things are happen in the various places. So then it is actually those things are actually now it is need for developing country. But thing is sometimes people are agitating that various things. But it is the management, uh, environment, environment. Manage the things and go ahead. Then the public trust doctrine, that is the normal environmental law, and in a concept, it is actually introduced by the very early. That is the public trust doctrine. That means public trust means Jatika Bharakaratha doctrine is Sankalpya. Actually, there are two conceptions of public trust doctrine. Right? Yes. According to narrow concept of government deems to be trustee of the country's natural resources, it is surrounding environment, and such resources must be held or used by the government for the benefit of its people. So all the resources are um, given to the under control of the government. Therefore, government has the plan to utilize the public property, the natural resources, uh, uh, making the environment sustainability as well as the uh, not the maximum utilization, minimum utilization for the human needs. So that is the one way of controlling that public trust doctrine. In the wide environmental sense, the concept of public trust expresses the idea that the present generation hold the natural resource in trust for future generation. That is, we are the present generation, so we are the custodian of the natural resources for the future generation. So this power phosphate, this thing, there is a very what to call this internationally accepted the court verdict that we Dr. Veeramantri. So that is actually highlight the public trust doctrine. So even very seriously told there was a debate about the environmental phosphate use of power phosphate. So those things are actually very relevant for engineers also, because we are the people sometimes doing their involving with that project. The environment challenges. So challenges we have to in environment management, we have to manage the environment challenges also. The state of environment challenge in Sri Lanka is the air pollution, water and water resources pollution. So water and water resources pollution. In the soil pollution, noise pollution, mineral extraction, what I mentioned now, this is power, the land degradation and energy. Then the other one is the now developing is the waste, solid waste, toxics and hazardous waste, e-waste, disaster, biodiversity and disaster, biodiversity and protected area. So now environment, this thing, now new things. Earlier, no such, without urbanization, no such uh, solid waste and this thing. But now it is also come because we are urbanization. In the meantime, e-waste also now we come to see. So electronical waste, then the marine and coastal environment. So I think you may remember recent concluded court cases regarding ship the ship case. That is one. The courts just ordered to give the what to call this compensation to the Sri Lankan government. So that is that. Then the polluter pay principle. So polluter pay principle is actually, if you are the polluter, you have to pay for that pollution. So that is the polluter pay principle. Pollution control costs have been borne by public rather than those who polluted. Now, presently what is happening is pollution control cost have been borne by public rather than those who polluted. So, what is happen? Now, people are dumping their waste by the roadside, right? So, they are doing that. Then the public has to control that. So then what is the Pradesi Sabha and town council, and those are the governed by the public money. So where each and every person living in the area is paying that as a tax, Paripanam tax, annual tax, various tax. So they are actually, everybody has to contribute to control, but few people are polluting. So you know this solid waste. They are, even though the town council has the organized program to collect the what to call human waste, not human waste, waste and other things. So in the collecting centers, getting points, but some people are not obeying for that. So they are just putting the roadside. So then roadside, to clean the roadside for the public safety as well as their health and everything, town councils are spending the money of all the public. The polluter pays principle, on other hand, established the cost of pollution should be borne by the person responsible for causing the pollution. That's how the court cases and other things are proceeding. Mainly this, who is polluting the things should be do the rectification also. So this thing, the polluter pay principle seek to avoid the results as well as injustice caused by it by obliging the polluter to bear the cost of pollution. So those who are doing such a bad habit, so polluting the environment, has to pay. So this that's what the, you know, that in the count councils also, when they are just dumping the things in the roadside, most time the time people are reporting, and then they are go to the courts and has to pay the money. Then a few important is good for use engineers, for important laws and institutions in Sri Lanka. So I listed out everything. I think you can read everything. The National Environmental Act and the what to call Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance, Forest Ordinance, then the Mahavali Authority Ordinance, State Land Ordinance, then the Mines and Mineral Act, Irrigation Ordinance, Coast Conservation Act, and Marine Pollution Prevention Act. So those things are actually for your information. Then when we come to the project environment management, we can't forget the sustainable development. So therefore, we will think about the sustainable development. What is sustainable development? It defines sustainable development as that development that meets the need of present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So, you know, this life is, human being life is limited to less than 100 years. So then what we are doing, that sustainable development is the control the natural resources for our usage. So that that defines sustainable development as the development that meet the need of present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. Sustainable development has emerged as a new paradigm of development, integrating economic growth, social development, and environmental protection as interdependent and mutually supportive element of long-term development. It emphasized the participatory multi-shareholder approach to policy making and implementation, mobilizing public and private resources for development, making use of knowledge, skill and energy of all social groups concerned with the future the planet and its people. So sustainable development is very much about what kind of legacy we want to leave for our children and grandchildren. So actually, as our Red Indians leader said that we have to use our resources whatever we want minimum and keep the balance. So then the participatory approach is the for sustainability very vital and very important. Even the water sector, then now most of the projects are participatory management projects for regarding especially irrigation sector. So what is actually distributing for the food security with the participatory is a participatory approach. All the people are stakeholders are sharing their views and as well as they are jointly join and take the decisions and making the implementing the decisions. So then once the people are joined with the decision-making process, participatory approach, then they have the right, they have a responsibility to manage the water resources for this thing. So actually, for example, what I said is now when you do the participatory approach, then especially irrigation sector, now we are cultivating both Yala and Mahano. So then Maha, we are receiving the water. Then everybody knows that if you would be able to cultivate the Yala cultivation for the both, especially Yala cultivation, you are getting the good yield as a good income. Therefore, all people are wish to cultivate the Yala, right? Especially irrigation projects. So therefore, during the Maha season, we are getting the rains. In the meantime, it's getting free. In the meantime, irrigable area is getting water. Therefore, when the irrigable area is getting rainwater, we have to use it that. So then tank water will be remaining like that. This is the sustainable development. In the means, tank water is not only for the irrigation. No, it is now presently it is for the mandated requirement to drink for the drinking water. So most of the power water supply schemes are depend on the irrigation system. Therefore, we have to keep the water for the yellow cultivation as well as the after this thing for the cultivation as well as to drinking water. So this is the sustainable development sharing that. Then we will come to the define the environment management. It is the diverse set of activities. So environment management is not easy to define as various intellectuals are defining. Borrower has acknowledged it can refer to the goal of version to attempt to steer the process to the application of the set of tools to a philosophical exercise seeking to establish new uh, perspective toward the environment and human societies and to much more besides. In the meantime, area management are a diverse group of people, right? So as I mentioned earlier, participating people include the academics, policymakers, non-government organizations, NGO, and workers, company employees, civil servants, and wide range of individual groups of who make decisions about the use of the natural resources such as fisheries, farmers, as I mentioned earlier, farmers, and etc. Indeed, environmental management involves all people to some extent because all human activities ultimately have some sort of environmental management. It's not easy to define. Therefore, so environment management, so all the people, not the few categories. All people has to participate and get the collective decisions and implement the collective decisions in the field, so that it can be environment can be managed. Then the civil servant and wide range of individual groups who make decisions about the use of natural resources such as fishermen and farmers and custodians. Indeed, environment management involves all people to some extent because of human activities ultimately have some sort of environmental impact. So everybody, so now come to the my sector irrigation. Now when you take the management of the tank water, so we are always thinking we have to ensure the cultivation of all the people, as well as we have to ensure the drinking water for the people in the area. So therefore, all the people are responsible. Even the drinking water also has to be controlled and use the minimum amount, not wasting this thing like that. So then people will understand what is the gravity of this thing. So then what are the desirable outcomes? So what are the physical, economics, social, cultural, political, and technological constraints to achieving those outcomes? So those things have to identify. What are the most feasible option for achieving those outcomes? Right? Feasible option. Indeed, in many parts of the world and arguably worldwide, environment management is the in intimately linked with pressing issues of justice and even survival. A further definition might suggest that environment management is concerned with meeting and improving the provision of human needs, right? And demand on a sustainable basis, which minimal damage to natural habitats and ecosystem. Thus, the concept of environmental management is closely related to another important and problematic concept, that is the sustainable development. So, the environmental management and sustainable development are interconnected. That's what I want to highlight. Then, however, some individuals are more directly involved with resources use, and some special interest groups are particularly concerned with resources exploitation and with issues related to pollution. So some people, vulnerable groups are there. So sometimes they are doing the pollution because industries. So the industries. So when you everybody can do the industry, but there is a certain control is there how to use the resources and how to manage the what to call it wastages and those things. So the, the industry should not disturb the existing environment. So we have to always when the used water when they release to the from the factory, it has to be passed through several process to purify the water. So it is this most of the places it is not happening. That means that hotels. So they are having the wastewater treatment plants, but during night times they are not operating that, but just released into the water process. So those things are the problems. So the management therefore involves many stakeholder and require multidisciplinary perspective, involve many special skills ranging from the local to global. That is the stakeholders. They involve many stakeholders that stakeholders are those who are benefited from the resources. So it's also involved many diverse goals, including the desire to control the direction and pace of development, to optimize resources use, to minimize environment degradation and avoid environmental disaster. Management may be practiced by individuals and groups holding conflicting and even directly opposing views, and many be the case of the environment managers employed by large multinational corporations come into conflict with environment managers are represented in the voluntary organization. So this in the household. So now when you go to the market, we are trying to get number of polythene bags. So ultimately, the polythene bags are another what you call miserable at home. So getting this thing. So how to dispose? Now, so therefore, this town council and various this one what you call boutique owners as well as the companies and this supermarket, they are always encouraging people to bring their own what you call bags, and then they can minimize the issuing number of polythene bags. So then it is actually for the people also benefited. So therefore, like that, everybody must have the support to control the environment management. Everybody, and not only few people. Even we have to start from the home and then go to the your village, then town, like that. So actually, you know this town councils are to environment management, minimize pollution. They are introducing various things at home to maintain the what to call this degradable material collection, what to call cells and like that. Then it will make the what to call this organic fertilizer. So then otherwise this all the vegetables and other things if you are put into the as a waste to the town council, they are as a problem. So how to dispose. So like that. So then you know this as a people, citizens living in the Kandy town area, we had the very bad experience during Dal Dadakna. At that time, you know, this our this what you call all the roads and our paths and our drains, everything is filled with the various type of waste material. So in the meantime, this what you call people are, you know, how people are Buddhist people, they are always trying to help the other people, no? Therefore, they are distributing the foods. So most of people, they are choosing the what to call this foods and then putting them once they distribute, getting and putting the drains. So it is a really pollution. So we in the mean the plastic bottles. So how many? About 40 tons or something. More than that collecting daily and like that. So this actually for the environmental management, everybody has to participate. From this point of view, environmental management may be defined as a system that anticipates and avoid or solves environmental and resources conservation issues. So that actually we understand that if we are getting more polluting to our home, so then we are in a problem. So therefore, we have to try to minimize the bringing the pollution with our food material and the like. From another point of view, environment management may be defined as a process concerned with human-environmental interaction, which seek to identify. So, interaction with the human and environment. It is the most important interaction. So, everybody is having this. So, what are the environment desirable outcomes? So, what are the physical, economical, social, cultural, political, and technological constraints to achieve these outcomes? What are the most feasible options to achieving those outcomes? Who are environment desirable outcomes? What are the physical, economic, social, cultural, political, and technological constraints? What are the most feasible options for achieving those things? So, this indeed, in many parts of the world and arguably worldwide, environment management is intimately linked with the pressing issues of issues of justice and even survival. A further definition might suggest the environment management is concerned with the meeting and improving provision for human needs and demand on sustainable basis with minimal damage to natural habitats and ecosystem. Thus, the concept of environmental management is closely related to another important and problematic concept that of sustainable development. Indeed, in many parts of the world, environment management is intimately linked with the process of this thing. The concept of environment management act as a tool to improve the environment performance. So I think everybody understand that. Then it work toward the waste minimization, right? Waste, as I mentioned earlier also, is a systematic approach for overseeing the environmental affairs of an organization. When you come to the organization, a systematic approach for conceiving environmental affairs, then address the concern related to the environment through the evaluation and related practice. They then encourage employees to undergo training to achieve desired objectives. So actually, this is most important. Then in your home, house also, uh, you can educate your children and your elders and even yourself uh, how to manage the environment within your compound. Then when you go to the office, actually it is our workplace. It is the duty of all the people. So therefore, this. This what you call this people people have to give the awareness. So this encourage employees to undergo training. So training is the always discuss and like that. Then help to determine the impact of objective and product of service. Assign responsibility and accountability in the firm. So now, for example, I will say that especially in the office earlier days, so people are actually wasting the foods during the when they spend in the office, they are wasting the food because they are bringing these people are bringing most of the what you call it, foods, and then they are early morning also they are having the foods and then bringing to the office also the whatever excess they are dumping into the our food basket, waste basket. In the minute during the daytime, after lunch, all these things are full with the waste material, food. So like that. So then, actually, when I was in the head office and I was in HR, and then that time it is very difficult to control the waste material. So we are encourage people. So actually, what is happened? So then morning after breakfast, 10 o'clock they are having the another thing, some small foods for the tea also. Then they can't eat what they brought from home to for the lunch, like that. So we actually train the people and we convince the people that our problems the department is facing. So like that we were controlling that situation. So what is the advantage in environment management? So effective use of the resources, improve sustainability, help in staying out of trouble, pollution control, improve public image, economic progress and finance, and improve management efficiency. So, for a disadvantage of environment management, the cost of developing, monitoring, and implementing effective environment management policies is high. It becomes difficult to every business entity to implement such program in its business plan because of the high cost. Then too much of trouble. The environment management system can prove too much of trouble if you are a startup, a small business entity who have limited resources at this disposal. Then time and resources. The objective of the implementing environment management policy is to minimize the energy and unnecessary resources consumption and reduce the waste. It is better to fact that every such scheme requires additional use of. So then actually this is not only office, even though your house, your house also, it is relevant. So then now actually when the people are using wasting the resources like water, so you have to give the your water bill is going high. And in the meantime, power. So then when you are try to manage that, So then you will benefited with the what you call controlling the your electricity bill like that. So those things are for the house, right? So ironing the shirts and other thing also in the various manner. So then it will be highly increase the your electricity bill, and water also you have to be careful to control the water lines and everything. Otherwise, this you are facing the unwanted problems. You know this, especially this mama. I am facing that. What to call this? These monkeys. They are coming, and if you are when you are leaving the house, you have to what to call cross the your main line as well as the tank line. Otherwise, they if they enter the our compound, they will damage the our what to call this pipes and this thing, then wasting water. So like that, we have to adopt the management or resources. Then then they learn about environment management systems. So now environment management is the very important. Therefore, environment management systems are developed in the worldwide, and even the that is we are going to discuss. An environment management system is set of process and practices that enable the organization to reduce its environmental impact and increase its operating efficiency. This site provides information and resources related to the EMS in environment management system for small business and private industry as well as local, state and federal agencies. Now, what is an EMS? Cost and benefit of an EMS. International Organization for Standardization, 14,001. So, so environment management system is framework to help organization achieve the environmental goals through the consistent review, evaluation, and importance of its environmental performance. So, assumption is that the consistent review and evaluation will identify the opportunities for improving and implementing the environmental performance of the organization. The EMS itself does not dictate the level of environment performance that must be achieved. Each organization EMS is tailored to its own individual objectives and targets. So now actually the EMS system not fixing the goals, but you have to gradually you have to do that. So in the house also, then when you reduce the your water wastage as well as power wastage and cost for the disposal of the your waste material. So when you do that, first month, second month, third month, you will realize that how you are benefited. So like that, everybody has to contribution that. The basics of EMS are I categorized, and EMS help organization address its regulatory requirement in a systematic and cost-effective manner. This proactive approach can help reduce the risk. So these things are actually not going to treat it, but available you can treat it, and as engineers we know most of things. Then analyzing its environmental impact and compliance obligation, legal or other requirement, setting environmental objectives and target to reduce environmental impact and conform for compliance, establishing program to meet these objectives and target. Monitoring. So actually, EMS basically involved programming, implementing, monitoring, reprogramming, and then remonitoring like that. So it is a continuous process. So actually, as engineers, what we are doing is planning, then estimating, right? Implementing, and then monitoring, and then evaluating. So these our basic engineers duties are involved with this EMS also. So This is you can do the cost of benefits EMS in internal staff and external staff. So this actually, when you are doing the EMS in your institution, you have to do the internal staff manage time, represent bulk of EMS resource expending most organization and other employees' time, and then the potential consulting assistance. Sometimes you with the industry they are using the consultant and outside training for the person like that. So potential benefits are put it list out, and then EMS under ISO 14001. The most commonly used for the framework for an EMS is the one developed by the International Organization for Standardization (ISO). For the ISO 14001 standard exists, established in 1996. The framework is the official international standard for EMS, which is based on the plan, do, check, act methodology. And the five main stages EMS are defined in the ISO 14001 standards. Now it is I think revising commitment and policy. First one is then the planning, then implementation, evaluation and review. So these basic five functions are relevant to the engineers. As engineers also, we are involved in the project. We are doing that. One thing is first commitment and policy. What we are understanding what is we are do, even the project, even the management of the project like that. Then the planning, then the implementing all the estimating and tendering and procurement like that. So same thing, environment management also. Then evaluation. So we have to evaluate monthly, weekly, monthly, and once the project is so like that in the review. So those things are actually basically engineering functions are involved with the environment management also. The review is the most important one. uh, the management reviews the results, top management of violation to set of EMS is working, managing determining whether the original environment policies is consistent with the organization values. The plan is then revised to optimize the effectiveness of the EMS. The review stage creates a two-loop and continuous improvement for company. So actually EMS, if you are implementing EMS at home, you will realize that how it's effective. So actually always we are learning from house also. Then the recommendation for establish effectiveness EMS. Uh, this is I introduced that. So when planning environmental policy necessary complaint, components should be included as such a prevention of various types of pollution, compliance with relevant laws and regulations, continued improvements. It's a plan should be published to relevant all internal and outside people. Then the people environment task group should be created to include various positions of the organization, structure of institution, continuous audit and review and implement the EMS should be done periodically at the proper time. Establishing a post of environment officer for each situation. Institution should be done in coordinate all the environment programs. The attitude of the employment should be improved to protect and conserve the environmental of the institutions while considering the part of high duty of the being post. Then special attention to paid for the integrated water management and solid water waste management. So actually, this is the so finally we are at the very beginning we said that our environment are very highly connected with the air, then water and wastewater and like that. So in the office also same. So when you practice at home also, this actually we will realize the integrated water. So actually solid waste management. So actually in the your toilets, wastewater and everything we control, then you will realize when you do the unwater wastewater is going and stagnating in the drain system, then the mosquitoes in this thing. So then the dengue epidemics and so like that there are sort of like the normally this in the household normally this our wife or otherwise the mother will control the inside waste management, right? Water like that. So then outside we can clean the compound and drains and allow these things to be keep the wastewater to go to the main drain over these things. So now when the solid waste management is now introduced in the various what to call this municipal council now. So then in the meantime, in addition to the your water bill, one third is adding as a solid waste management. So therefore, you will be realized that so when the bill is going up, therefore you have compelled to control the water. So that's what as I mentioned that monkeys destroying the pipeline. So we have to manage. Otherwise, this when the monkeys are damage the pipelines, we have to waste the water. In addition to that, one third we have to pay. So therefore, not like early days, we have to be very vigilant and manage ourselves itself also. Even the what to call this disposal of the organic material and other things, we have to be very careful. Otherwise, this you are it will be highly cost. So that's a EMS is you can implement first instance at your home, and then you office, then like that it can be developed. So then especially the this integrated resources management and solid waste management is the most important in the EMS. That is their energy, another factor, energy saving through the exploring the energy, efficient lighting solution and alternative energy sources. So you can start this energy management at home itself, then office also, reducing the paper waste through the proper consumption and promoting recycling whenever possible and practical. Then the carbon footprint, the amount of carbon dioxide related released into the atmosphere as results of the activities of a particular individual, organization, or community. Calculation process to track our performance and benchmark our progress against the peers to the industry. So sustainable leading green loans such as lending, non-conventional renewable energy sector and green energy loan schemes for individuals. So, solar panels and these things. Engaging the consumers to enabling them to mitigate toward more eco-friendly business practice. So, environment CSR projects to identify the address official ecological changes that are like to cause destruction to the natural composition, air, water, and earth. So those things actually I put it being mainly the knowledge improvement, not like on the point, not the point of examination, but you have some sort of idea during you when you answer you have the facts, then you can put it as you like the facts relevant to the particular question. Adopting 300-degree sustainable matrix that begins with the stakeholder engagement mechanism where the key sustainable trends and identify wide opportunities and threats arising therefore are determined. Then using the social responsive CSR, cooperative social responsibility model that address the broader systematic issues and socio-economic challenges that affect communities. The bank is guided by the Millennium Development Goals World Bank 2000 Agenda to Sustainable Development, both parts, and UNDP Development Roadmap for Sri Lanka also. The bank aims to bring about the positive changes across broader communities, demographic, through the social responsibility, CSR, cooperative social responsibility, but transparency and good governance, community engagement, and employees volunteerism. So that actually World Bank, actually UNDP, everything is involved with the sustainability mainly because of the everywhere of the world, and this problem is there. Then this basic things I discussed this regarding Dublin principle. Dublin principle, this in I can remember 1992 it is put. So four principles were introduced in Dublin. Fresh water is finite and vulnerable resources essential to sustain life. development and environment. I think everybody has to agree with that. Then the water development and management should be based on the participatory approach. As I mentioned earlier, it is a participatory approach, involving users, planners, and policymakers at all levels. Then it is significantly introduced women play a central part of the professions, management and safeguarding the water. So it is common, you know, this in our house when we are in the childhood. Our mother is actually bringing, collecting the water from the well and keep in the house and given the water for drinking, cooking, and everything. So she is the lady, our mother directing us to go to the well and take the bath and wash our clothes and everything like that. She guided us. Then so therefore, you know, woman has to play the vital role in this regard. Even the, now, you know this in the irrigation systems. Actually, most of farm organizations, their farmers' wives are participating. It's very easy to work with them because they have the idea and they are getting everything correctly. Otherwise, this, you know, the people sometimes with the drinks come and shouting. So when the farm organization involvement with the lady farmers are very easy. Then other one is what has an economic value and should be recognized as the economic goods. So the economic value means actually it is actually everybody to understand. So what is the right of the each and every people. So persons has to right to drink and bathing and all the basic needs. In the meantime, the secondary priority is cultivation. So therefore, this is the Arthika Vatnakama Tina. So not to sell that, but it is everybody should understand the economic value. Then it is actually economic value is compensated by all the participants. Then when you come to the integrated resource management, it is the concept introduced in somewhere around 2000. That is how this integrated resource management process is implemented. The integrated resource management is process which promote the coordinated development and management of water, land, and related resources in order to maximize the resultant economic and social welfare in an equitable manner without compromising the sustainable of vital ecosystem. So, you know, finally, environment management is related with the water, air, and land and everything. So therefore, indeed, water resource management is introduced. Very basically, it is the participatory approach. The water resource concept, which is also based similar to sustainable development and on three pillars such as society, economics, and environment. So, you know, this to implement the irrigation or resource management, basically in the irrigation schemes, actually at that time, very as a young engineers, we are going for the village to village, yard to yard, and organizing the farmers and establish the farm organization to get their support. Otherwise, the farmers are only coming for the cultivation meeting. So therefore, everything is actually once we farm organization established, we are going and telling them all the things. Whether this time whether we are getting rainfalls and whether we have the tank water available, we start the yellow cultivation like that. So then the farmers are then one by one farmers are involving in the works. So then come to the cleaning of their farm paddy field channels, siesta level, then D channel. So one by one they participate. This is actually integrated water management is very important, and therefore there is a heartbeat and difference between the concept of sustainable development and irrigation water management. So the sustainable development irrigation resource management is a hardly difference, except perhaps the latter specifically refers to water, land, and related resources. Sustainable development is an irrigation water management integrated water resources management, interconnected, but especially irrigation water resource management is connected with the water, land, and related resources. integrated approach for water management, solid waste management. So pollution of waste water as well as disposal of solid waste affecting environment so seriously. Today, most countries are facing unprecedented pressure on water resources. Right? So global population is growing fast and estimated will face 40% shortfall between the forecast demand and available supply water for 2030. That is in 2010 is expecting climate changes, flood damages, drought, pose of the fragmenting of these resources is also constraint for the water security. Then therefore, the advanced integrated water management promote the coordinated development and management of water, land and related resources in order to maximize the economics and social welfare in the inequitable manner without compromising sustainability of the vital ecosystem. So you have to keep in mind that doubling principles and principles for integrated water management when you answer the environmental management system. Then those four principles have also contributed to development of Agenda 21 at the Earth Summit that 1992. This indicates both sustainable development and integrated ocean management is a similar route. The integrated ocean management was coined as a concept of incorporating these four principles together with the read as integrated ocean management process which promote the coordinated development and management waste, water, land, and related resources in order to maximize the resultant economics and social welfare. So same thing, I think you can read it because these things are very important for you. This especially in the case of integrated ocean management, that we are concerned about equity, gender, inclusive development, and the participatory approach. So those four factors are very important. So इक्विटी समानात्मतावे जेंडर इसी पुरुष भावे difference है the inclusive development of the participatory approach is development and participatory approach is the most important, so everybody should know what is happening. So this is you can read when you are in studying this subject. Then the green economy and sustainable development goals, I just put it for your improvements. Then you must have the idea about the current status on water resource management in Sri Lanka also. It is important to review the present status of water resources along with the institutional structure in Sri Lanka before suggesting strategies to be followed in view of the sustainable of the resources. So you know this Sri Lanka is a perspective is very prosperous in water resources with 103 river basins, more than 20 major wetlands, exceptional designed minor and major irrigation schemes, minor, major and medium irrigation systems, and significant groundwater resources. Rainfall as the main form, participation being the average 1,450 to 2,400 millimeter, dry zone 80% of land area, wet zone 20% land area, Sri Lanka respectively. Annual total volume of surface and groundwater available has been assessed as 44,000 MCM up and 7,800. Then the per capita water availability would be about 2,500 cubic meters with the population peak about 21 million by 2025 this year. Therefore, Sri Lanka can consider as a country with sufficient amount of available water. However, there will be a spatial and temporal variability, and the strategies for the resource management should therefore focus on reducing the variability. So, integrated approach for the water management and solid waste management. Solid waste management has become one of the burning issues in the worldwide. Urbanization and rapid population growth have increased the quality and complexity of waste generated. The inefficient management, improper disposal of solid waste have created negative impact of sustainable development of environment, and therefore finding an integrated and holistic approach to managing solid waste as an environmentally socially friendly financial and economically feasible manner is essential. The EMS should be take those important aspects of previous. So environment management system actually providing the basic framework to manage this thing. Then water and sustainable development. So you can read it and understand it is simple thing. Then managing water for environment. In context of the competing demand for water, widespread pollution, and environment, social, economic, and cultural benefits can be achieved from managing the health of the surface and groundwater system. So actually this water environment, water is actually without water people can't live. In the meantime, water is the main source to spreading the epidemics and I think even the what to call dengue is spreading by the water. So the mosquitoes are spreading. So therefore, that is the thing that we have to manage the water in a better environmental management, water managing water for environment. So that actually, so the that's up. We have to start from the house and come to the office like that. So everybody has the coordinate effort to control this. Following 6 elements can be helpful when establishing reform in the policy framework. So as engineers, these are the most important. Confirm the version of water management and value of water. Understand changing water availability and demand over time. Determine the or allocation of water between users. So those are relevant to engineering period. Ensure effective water policies and institutions. Plan, monitor, and deliver water for the environment. Access and improve the system effectiveness and efficiency. Globally, provincial and management of water for environment need to be urgently improved. These facts provide examples that demonstrate how practice action. Recognizing water dependent values, better management infrastructure, and reforming allocative and the other management system, for example, can deliver progress in both the near and long term. Important this guide demonstrate that managing water for the environment can deliver not only environmental benefit but economics and social and cultural ones also. So actually, as engineers, we have to give the leadership for that. Then importance of water for the management. Then you have to think about what is the water for the environment. What is the water for the environment important? How does managing water for the environment deliver benefits? Those things are then the body of this guide set out the element of effective management of water for the environment. So just read it and try to understand it. While every context is different, the elements show that any approach managing water for the environment, the vision of water management, informed by an understanding of system health needs and associated water dependent values in the local context. That is element one. Then accurate understanding of current water availability and demand and realistic estimation of the future availability and demand by under multiple scenarios. So those things are actually relevant to this element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and relevant to engineers. So as engineers, we have to do those things, right? So actually, the Mahali water panel, Mahali Authority, Irrigation Department, our sectors are water panel is the one of the example. So every year, 2 times, it is water panel meetings are to be held in Gannour, and all the relevant agencies, users, stakeholder, farmers, industry, people participate in understanding the value of that. Then, so these are the fundamental of this thing. Then this achieve these objectives. It is worldwide. various institutions, especially UNDP, and taking the action. World Water Day, accelerating change, own action plans, save water, take short shower, don't let the tap run when brushing your teeth, doing dishes and preparing food. What I said is at your home, you have practiced that. Check water wastage inside the compound. Always use plumber for repairs. So most of the time our water bills are going up mainly because the inside waste. Then flush safe, fix leaking water and waste pipe empty, full septic tanks and report damping of sludge. So stop polluting. Don't put food waste, oils and chemicals to drains, right? Protect nature, plant tree or create rain garden, use natural solution to reduce the risk of flooding and store water. Clean up your surroundings, your drainage, wetland, source local rivers, lakes and beaches. So these things are you can practice at your home and surrounding. Then the own action plan to the farmers. So timely. So it is especially as irrigation engineer, we were encouraging and practicing that in the fields. So timely cultivation, early mass season, use rain for land preparation, wet and dry water management during the yellow cultivation, by which maximize the yield. Always keep your paddy field earthbound in strength to avoid the water seepage. Keep your canals clean for easy passage of water. Be equitable water distribution among farmers. Always coordinating with stakeholders, obey the farm organization decisions. Pollution-free water lands, avoid water stagnation. So those things are actually irrigation sector. So actually you know this. When you are work in irrigation sector, during the both Maha and Yala season, rainy season, you have to concern about these things because you can't freely go home without doing your attention. You have to pay your attention to these activities. So when the farmers are cultivating and ultimately they are successful, then we have a high pressure because always we are people are respecting us as engineers. So like that, these things are. I just put it for your this thing. Then you have to think about the role of engineering in sustainable water management. So those things are normally we are used to ask from the in the B paper. So some engineers are very nicely presenting these their ideas. I even most of these some of the factors I collected from the our candidates answer scripts. So because they are very familiar. So this thing you can what to call this keep read it and keep your mind. So what is the role? The recognition of the limits of resources is almost old as the realization that the planet is a sphere leading the concern about sustainable resource management. What resources in particular receiving growing attention given to uneven distribution in many parts of the world. Engineering solutions to address water management challenges played significant role in the past in areas such as access to the clean water and sanitation, provide the water for irrigation, offering protection for against floods, allowing the power generation, etc. Despite the proven benefits, engineering solutions are receiving increasing criticism due to the negative environmental and social impact and the high cost of their implementation and operation. More realize the ecosystem service as an alternative is often advocated the means of achieving more sustainable water management solutions that keep water service that human societies rely on the feasible roles and ecosystem can play in life of engineering solution. They applies the balanced triangle, planetary ecosystem and human social and assess basis of the evaluating the different water management strategies. The ultimate goals of the action is to offer guidance for finding a better balance of in developing ecosystem based on the engineering solution regarding the satisfaction, studying the need of human societies while minimizing the impact of the ecosystem. So actually engineers have the we have we have knowledge and discipline and regarding the environment management, what is the main role? So we have to control it economically and socially and equitable balance. Then the engineers, that is the responsible engineers. So then I put it just to read that. Then key water related services are, you know this, as engineers, domestic water supply, wastewater management and sanitation, water storage, irrigation, flood management, respect to the role of engineering versus ecosystem solutions, pain in providing these services and their impact on planetary and ecosystem resource vital, agriculture water use and flood management. So those things are related services. Then the summary, you can read it, no such problem. Human, everything I put summarize this thing. So especially irrigated agriculture supported flood security and food protection. So we can't forget about that. So so therefore this economic environment management main role is this part. So dominant means to provide comfortable living environment for humans, especially in the ever growing urban settlement will rest on the continued use of the engineering. So engineers, in that sense, engineers have the very big role to play. So, those things also you can read it. So everything I list out for your knowledge improvement. Then China, I can say that China heavy investment in wastewater treatment after 30 years of rapid economic growth could serve as an example. So one way, when the development is going one way, the other way it is the coming the pollution, preventing pollution problems are generating. Emerging economics will inevitable need to deploy the more engineering solution. Therefore, providing assistance to deploy them before major environmental degradation occurs would be more beneficial even from the environmental protection point of view than advocating well-intended that capacity-wise limited alternative that will ultimately constrain the long-term development. So these things are actually not only the irrigation sector, not only the water supply sector, even power sector, or any mechanical, any engineer can write these, understand the environment management system and related activities. With that, I think the B paper they can answer, because some engineers are ask for me whether mechanical engineers can write these questions. Yes, can, because it is relevant. It's a common one. So that's what I put it everything together. So so these things are you can understand, read and understand. Then global and local environment issues are also listed. Global warming, greenhouse gases and their sources, climate change, mitigating the adopting strategies for the warning and climate change, pollution, water, air, soil, improper water management, water scarcity, reasons for the water scarcity, acidic rain formation, consequence acid rain, other global environment issues significantly danger to Earth health. So those things are. Then this world is changing and world is always thinking about our future. So sustainable development goals, I think, can help the global water sustainability. For World Water Day 2026 theme is that as World Water Day 2060 approach, it is important to think about how important water is and how the sustainable development goals can help resolve the world water problem. This day, which is celebrated every year on March 22nd, bring attention to the how important water is and how it affects our health, the world, and our way of life. The earth is mostly made up of water. Despite this, Only 2.5% of its new and less than 1% is accessible and safe for human to use. That's the most important because of the world population is growing and climate change is making things more vulnerable, making sure survey everyone has access to water in a very important issue. Then one of the main goals of the Sustainable Development Goals set up United Nations is to make sure that everyone has access to water and sanitation and that they are managed in a way that doesn't harm the environment. So it's most important that by 2030 the Sustainable Development Goals will have made the future better, more stable for everyone around the world. Today, World Water Day 2004, this is the chance to think about these big goals and see how fit. So 2024, actually, the thing I got it from the UNDP publications. So looking at the water crisis, even though in future, even though there is a plenty of water, about 22 billion people around the world do not have access to clean drinking water. The current situation is made worse by climate change, population growth, population and insufficient infrastructure. This is why effective water control means need to be put in place. The trouble with water can't be seen as a separate issue. Concern about health, food stability, energy production, and environment protection, and just some of the other issues that this phenomena is linked with the malnutrition, spread of disease, and worsening of the poverty, and all linked to bad water quality and bad sanitation and habits. So actually, for the improve the water quality, the Indians has a certain breakfast meal. So the 17 global water sustainable development goals that make up the sustainable development goals were created in 2015 and are mean to be guide to attain superior and enduring future of everyone. Clean water and sanitation are very important, and sustainable development goal 6 put the lot of stress on them. The statement recognized how important safe water and cleanness for all people, the health of environment and the economy. It is also talk about the importance of sustainable resource management. In the meantime, as the date of the sustainable development goals in 2020 draws near, would water day become even more important. This is important to how important for this, so that the way the people are planning future. So in the 2026, they are trying to do this thing, supporting integrated resource management concept, an important part of fixing the waste problem in putting a lot of money into infrastructure, improving institutional capabilities and policy frameworks, and facilitating the collaboration and participation. A lot of people don't know how bad the global water problem in know what might happen as a result. So these things have been so with the what do you awareness, it those things can be achieved. That's what I put it. So this is actually more important because when you as engineers, so these most of the functions are relevant to engineers because as a water engineers we have to do this not on water, even mechanical, electrical, everybody, electronics, everything has a can contribute to sustainable development goals in the various manner in their from their field. So then how we got World War Day, so you can read it and understanding. Then you know there are always now artificial intelligence application is there for each and every thing. So somebody can ask whether this AI application in the water management. So actually we are not the expert of that, but I read it in some internet, some articles. So my knowledge that's a, it says that integrated resource management has been experiencing growing challenge on water accessibility, water quality, water reliability, and water governance, particularly associated with the natural hazard, flood and drought. in warming world, artificial intelligence and soft computing techniques coupled with cloud-based Internet of Time thing and framework present promising solution to these challenges. So recent studies have underscored the pivotal AI potential to enhance accessibility or monitoring of safe drinking water and sanitation, optimizing process of water, wastewater treatment, predict malfunction of water supply and distribution. So that is most important. We got non-renewable water regarding water supply schemes in the and the overseas implementation of overseas the implementation of water policies and regulations more effectively and efficiently leveraging the AI, artificial intelligence, therefore facilitate the development of integrated ocean management, centric smart water system at the core of the curbing water risk through the delivery of the sustainable water security. So electronics engineers can play in this regard. Therefore, everybody has this, some sort of responsibility. So I think as a for the exam, I think you can read this thing, and in the meantime, you can try to understand the previous exam papers to see that, and with that, I think you can maybe able to answer without any difficulty, because actually normally what we are trying to get the from the young engineers that how they are responsible regarding the environment management system. So when you do the environment, you can forget about the water as well as the air and all those things as I discussed. Therefore, very systematic manner, I think you can answer this question, no problem. Because especially I am requested to be careful about your handwriting. In the meantime, you understand the problem, and then the manner you are going to answer must be decided at that time. So this is not a tough exam. It is very easy. Everybody can get the more marks. So therefore, be careful and write the questions. No problem. Any problem? Then time is almost 7 o'clock. So I think you may be, this note will be delivered by the sun giver. Thank you very much.